The final thing that we want to talk about in this part, when we talk about for loops and while loops, is nested loops, which basically is a loop within a loop. And like if conditions and statements, that we could have multiple nested if statements, you can have multiple for loops or multiple while loops, nested loops and nested, basically for loops and nested while loops. Here is an example, which I call it grid. What this function does, it takes some number as input, it goes through two for loops. The first one for I in range size, we go through all the j numbers in the range and we print I and j, and then once we went through all the j, all the values in size in the inner loop, we go to the next value in this loop and then again go through all the values in the inner loop until we are done with all the values in the outer loop. And pay attention that we when we print, we're using f string and we're saying, well, in parentheses, I want I to be here, j to be here, and here is something that we did not talk about in the print statement, that you can actually say what do you want to happen at the end of this string that is printed by Python. If I hover my mouse over print, you actually will see a kind of a short description of the syntax for the function. And end by default is /n. This is the character for /n, means going to new line. So if there is nothing here at all, by default, when you use the function print in Python, once you're done with your print, the cursor goes to the next line. But when we modify this ending with space, that means don't go to the next line, continue, put a space between this print and whatever print comes next, and print it there. Let me run this and show you what happens. If I do print grid 3, remember this function is not returning anything, it's just printing, so I don't even need to put another print there. Here's what comes out, right? So I is 0, j is 0 at the beginning, so it becomes 0 and 0. Then I get I is still 0, I'm still in inner loop, so I'm iterating over in this loop. So 0 1 0 2, j goes from 0 to 2, and then at the end of each print I put a space. Okay. I'm done with this loop. I have another print here, so the next print, remember the end here is the default end, which is as if I do something like this, go to the next line, but I don't, because by default calling the print function puts the cursor to the next line. Then in the next line, I'm going to the outer loop. So for I is equal to now 1, I was 0 before, now is 1. I loop through all the j's, so 1 0 1 1 1 2 with a space between them. I go to the next line, and then I create this little nice grid. So hopefully this gives you a general sense of nested loops and how do they operate, right? So we start with the value for the outer loop, it iterates through all the values for the inner loop. Once it's done, goes to the next value for the outer loop. And also you got to kind of see what you can a little bit easily manipulate the print function to maybe get the output structure that you want. There is one more thing about the print that maybe I'll bring it up in another video when we kind of are using print for a different purpose. But for now, just keep in mind that you can manipulate the ending. By default, print goes to the next new line, but you can actually change it to anything you want, and this doesn't even have to be a space, could simply just be a dash, for instance, there, and then I'll get a dash at the end of each print, but I'll keep it a space since it's cleaner.